Hi, we're Emma and Helen from We Love Stoke Lodge, and we're going to spend a couple of minutes explaining why the legal fight for full public access to Stoke Lodge is still continuing and how it could be settled if Cotham School and Bristol City Council agree to a compromise.
A couple of years ago, when Cotham School was about to put up a fence around Stoke Lodge playing fields, its lead governor, Sandra Fryer, published a video saying why they were fencing the public out. Now, a key issue in this debate is that the school's lease for Stoke Lodge says that its rights as a tenant are subject to all existing rights and use of the property, including use by the community. Here is what Sandra Fryer said about that back then.
The playing fields are now leased to Cotham School on a 125-year lease. To be clear, the reference to community use in our lease does not confer the right to use our playing fields, but rather that the school can manage and enable community use when not required by the school.
So, Emma, is she right? When it says that the school's rights are subject to community use, is that just about allowing Cotham to manage public access if and when they decide to allow it?
Well, clearly not, because that doesn't really make sense even in English. If I own a piece of land subject to your right to walk across it, then my rights are subject to yours. That wording doesn't give me a right to say when you can and can't walk across it. In fact, just the opposite. And a club hiring a pitch has to follow the terms of its contract with Cotham School. Its rights are subject to Cotham School's rights. But Cotham's rights under the lease are subject to use by the community.
And actually, the lease does also talk about club hire or sessional lettings. It says the school can allow other parties to use Stoke Lodge for temporary sessional lettings without landlord consent. So in the lease, the landlord, Bristol City Council, is doing two different things. It's giving the school a totally free hand to hire out pitches to clubs whenever it wants to, but it's saying that the school's rights as a tenant are subject to all existing rights and use of Stoke Lodge, including use by the community. Those two things are different.
And the lease recognises community use in other ways too. So although Cotham has a 125-year lease at Stoke Lodge, the council has to pay for repairs to all of the boundary walls. And the school has a lower maintenance obligation for the whole site, recognising that the land is also open to public use.
Yes, and community use is fine because there is actually no legal requirement anywhere for a school to fence in detached playing fields. That's the other way that people have been misled in all this. Ofsted is very clear that they have no specific expectations about perimeter fencing. Plenty of schools safeguard their students in PE without fencing them in. The school decided it wanted a fence, but that doesn't mean it has to have one, and it doesn't change what the lease says. That's why the local community will never stop fighting for proper access. This isn't it.
We know that schools are strapped for cash, and although we're really confident about our case, we don't want the school to spend even more money on legal action. We estimate that including legal costs and consultancy fees, the school has already spent upwards of £300,000 of vital school funds fighting for a fence it doesn't need, a fence other schools manage really well without, and a fence which goes against the terms of the school's lease.
And the truth is, because this fence shouldn't be here, legal costs will go on and on until there's a proper resolution. We've got proposals ready to discuss, so our message to Cotham School parents and governors is, please read the lease and see what you think. Check out the Ofsted links for yourselves.
And if you think the school needs to change its approach at Stoke Lodge rather than spending yet more funds on something it doesn't need, please make your voice heard.